Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Vendor Voices podcast, where we talk about all things wedding planning, wedding vendors, topics that you guys will definitely enjoy if you're planning a wedding or if you're a vendor yourself. And I'm Sammi, your co-host, wedding photographer, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hi guys, I'm Korrigan, wedding filmmaker from Chicago. We're both based out of Chicago, and we're here to cover some things that we've learned over the last 100 plus weddings that we've either filmed or photographed.
Yep.
Also going to do a quick plug to the giveaway we're running right now.
Yes, a lot of you guys have entered already, so exciting to see all of those come in.
Yeah, so if you're getting married in 2025 or 2026, feel free to check out our Instagram at The Vendor Voices on Instagram, and there will be a pinned post there with all the details on how to enter and win free photo and video coverage for your wedding from the Dream Team.
Yeah, we're so excited to pick one of you lucky couples to photograph and film your wedding. So yeah, make sure you guys enter.
All right. Anyway, let's get into these lessons that we've learned.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So Sammi, let's get into it. What's the first lesson that you've really learned over the past over 100 weddings that you've shot?
Yeah, so one of the biggest lessons I've learned is flexibility is key. You know, it's really important that you're able to, go roll with the punches and, be flexible. Things come up on the wedding day that you're just not anticipating. And so you have to be able to be flexible and adaptable and just expect the unexpected.
Totally.
That doesn't mean that, every wedding is going to have some kind of big hiccup or whatever, but it's good to just be prepared.
You have to be ready for it.
Be ready for it, be ready for rain, be ready for a blackout, be ready for, those different things that could happen.
Throwback to the
last episode there. Would you rather? If you guys haven't checked it out, we did a Would You Rather episode, the last one, and it was really fun.
Yeah, that was fun. I think it's better to plan to be flexible and plan to overcome some of these obstacles. Because again, not every wedding's going to have a big obstacle, but if you prepare to be ready for an obstacle, it's better than if you're just like, oh no, the obstacle makes a big divot in our timeline.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What's a lesson that you've learned over the last 100 plus weddings that you filmed, Korrigan?
Totally. Yeah. I feel like one of the biggest things that I learned is that audio, and this is something I learned in film school as well. But I started filming while I was still in film school. I was filming weddings. And so I hadn't learned this lesson yet, but audio is half of the video. And in my opinion, I would argue that the audio side of the video makes up for 85 to 90% of the film's quality. So investing in good audio gear, getting those speeches dialed and sounding very crisp is so important. Everyone starts out somewhere, and so it's my first few weddings, maybe the audio wasn't it might have looked amazing on camera, but the audio might have been missing a few things, or the audio just didn't sound quite as professional as I wanted it to sound.
A lot of background noise,
something like that. Yeah, and so definitely getting the audio dialed in, I've learned is such a major part, and that's why I am a big stressor on the wedding days. For me, is let's make sure I got my Zoom recorder set up, make sure I got my sleeve mic set up, all the backups. I typically have about 2 to 3 backups if someone's talking, I'm recording them in probably 2 or 3 places. So if one is corrupted or something like that, I have this other audio file.
Yeah, so definitely.
Audio is a huge thing.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you?
Let's see. A lesson that I've learned is that lighting needs to become your best friend.
Yeah.
So as a photographer, at first, when I first started shooting, I did not know how to deal with harsh sunlight, in the middle of the day when it's just glaring down on you.
Yeah.
And so being able to be adaptable for different types of lighting is really important. It's definitely a skill set, something that I've had to learn. And so knowing how to deal with even dark or dim lit rooms or reception venues, in the wintertime, the light goes down, sun goes down at 4:30. And so, we're usually dealing only now with overhead light, which, can make your faces look different colors. And
totally.
This is stuff that's a little more technical that people might not even realize. But, you have to be able to know how to use a flash and know how to use off-camera flash and be able to adjust to different types of lighting. So lighting needs to become your best friend.
Totally. And yeah, again, I think it's major for us in Chicago during the winter months. I'm just editing my film from New Year's Eve right now. And it's we lost sunlight at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
you know? So it's like,
Yeah.
we really only had it for like ceremony and like 30 minutes of, you know, the couple's photos after the ceremony. So yeah, that definitely being able to work in all lighting environments is so important.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Let's go into another one that I had here. This is a big one for me when I was starting out my wedding career. So when I was like, I started pretty young, and I was like so nervous to miss a moment, right? So I was literally constantly shooting. I would like have 6-7 hours of footage because I just like didn't even stop the camera almost.
Yeah.
Like I was just like always shooting. And for me, it was learning when it's okay. Like pretty much like learning like the key moments of every wedding. Every wedding does have key moments. Every wedding is different.
Yeah.
And there's different like spontaneous moments, but knowing like when these spontaneous moments will probably happen and when are moments that like don't need to be in the edit. Like
Yeah.
I've become like more like, I've really like come into myself as like what my edit style is and like what moments make the edit and like what moments I probably won't use. So for an example, like when I first started
Yeah.
out, I was like filming people eating. I was
Yeah.
like, people were just like eating their entree and I'm over here like,
People shoving their
this
faces.
is going in the edit. And it's like, no, it's not.
You're like,
it's
actually,
not going in the
no.
edit.
Right.
You know, now I know like, oh, let's get like the details of like the plates and like the, you know, the centerpieces of the tables and like all those details of like the table, because that's like a big part of a wedding. But like, we don't need to see your uncle like eating chicken in your edit, you know?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
now I
yeah.
know like, oh, I have that like 10-20 minutes there where it's like I don't need to be filming. I can go take some time to like dedicate to setting up the audio, making sure all my levels are right. Like there's other like aspects than just filming for a videographer. So like knowing when I can focus on those other aspects.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's a good one for sure. Another one that I've learned is that preparation prevents panic. So
I like that.
yeah, so you know, before a wedding day, like the night before, I'm charging up all my batteries. I'm making sure I'm getting a good night rest. I'm drinking lots of water. I'm making sure that the day of the wedding, I'm showing up and I'm not like, you know, having to lose any like of my creative mind towards like trying to make sure that like everything is in my bag. Like my bag is set. Everything is good to go. I mean, I even know what I'm going to wear. Like,
have it laid out.
You know, I have it laid out. I'm not like having to frantically like iron my, you know, clothes like the morning of. It's like, it's all just ready to go. And I find that it allows me to just show up to the wedding super present and just ready. And so I definitely feel like my first wedding that I ever shot, like I was definitely over prepared. Like we talked about this on a previous episode. But I feel like it's easy and natural, like as you get more comfortable shooting weddings, to kind of let that go a little bit and be like, oh, I'm good. I'm just going to show up and like, you know, wing it or something. But like that is not ever a good idea.
It's not what you should be doing.
No, you don't want to be, you know, winging it the morning of and being like, oh no, I forgot, you know, an extra set of batteries, or I forgot a memory card, or forgot to clear it off or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm always making sure that everything is prepared. So
yeah, that's a good. In the same vein, one of the lessons, this is not one that I had prepared, but funny. But one of them is that just like I also will like have everything prepared and also leave like 30-45 minutes early. It's like I would much rather be at a venue in the parking lot 30 minutes early and being able to like just chill out than like be there on time. No. Like
if you're on time, you're late.
Exactly. And so I think in the first few months, maybe a year into like my like wedding, I was like, oh yeah, it starts at 11, so let's make sure I get there at like 10:55. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no, I'm gonna make sure I'm there at 10:30 because I've been driving, and stressed out driving is not the way to drive or to show up to a wedding.
No, definitely.
So
yeah, showing up in a panic is not.
That's not the way to come into a
That's
wedding.
not professional. Our couples deserve more than that. You
exactly.
know?
So that's a big thing.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Another thing, I would say I've learned a lot about. Let's see. I'm going to say I'm trying to choose wisely from my list here because it's a long list of lessons I've learned. Listen, guys, I've learned a lot. But I would say really like reading the room is one of mine.
That's a good one.
So this is like, you know, it's a lot of when it comes to like, you know, emotional, like, you know, intelligence, I guess, where it's like, okay, what can I say to this bride who like might be having a meltdown or something like that, or like freaking out in this moment? Like, am I adding to the situation, or am I able to de-escalate in any way, you know? And just learning, like, sometimes it's like not my place to like chip in, you know? Sometimes it's like they have a planner who's like on top of their game, and she's like able to take this thing that would be like a big situation and like take it down, or it's like on me to like, okay, let's read the room, see whose job is what, and figure out like where I need to be and like the best way to handle different situations. I would say is like really reading the energy of the room.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. Yeah. There's so many different dynamics going on a wedding day.
Totally.
Even family dynamics to be aware of and sensitive to, and everybody has a story, and so really being aware of those different dynamics can really help too.
And sometimes it's good to ask couples about family dynamics.
Yeah.
It's good to know about like
I
what
think so.
It's better to get a full understanding of family dynamics. So like, if there's like a moment where it's like, I just like lost my dad a few months ago. That happened to me at one of those, like, I didn't know, like,
that way you're not asking like, are you going to do a first look with your dad? And then she's like crying. And
so
she's
knowing
like,
to ask for those like specific, like, are there any just like, you don't have to ask like, did your dad pass recently? You don't have to ask that question, but like, is there any family moments or like family dynamics that we should know about?
Yeah, totally.
It's a really good question to ask because it changes the entire vibe of like, again, I would probably ask like, is dad ready for the first look? Like, I know like, not in this one, but it's still going to be like, maybe we do a first look with mom and that'd be beautiful. So yeah. Definitely.
Okay, another lesson that I've learned over the last 100+ weddings that I've shot is to build relationships with the vendors.
Oh yeah.
It's one thing that I definitely overlooked when I first was photographing weddings. I was just focused on building relationships with the couple, obviously.
Yeah.
But then, the DJ, the florist, the wedding planner, like there's all these different vendors, the venue owner. These are all really key relationships to really, pour into, because chances are you're going to work with them again, and there's going to be opportunities to work with them again too. We're all in the same industry, and that's something that I feel like can really propel your career forward too, is just having those relationships with the vendors, and also, even though we're all getting spliced together on that one day, we really all need to work as a team. And so being able to communicate with each vendor and like be cordial and friendly and like build those relationships and make sure you get their business card. They're going to want those photos and videos too. They're going to want to share them, because the florist, they put so much work into those bouquets. Like, they're going to be so appreciative to receive those photos. And it's surprising to me how many times I hear when I ask for their business card, they're like, oh, thank you so much. You'll actually send them to me? And I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And, a lot of photographers and videographers, I think, sleep on this. I think they forget. They're just like, they deliver the final deliverables, photos and videos to their client, and then they're just like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's like there were so many more vendors part of that day who would love to see the photos, especially the band. The band, they can, and especially if we want to support other vendors, which is definitely, I know, our heart here at the Vendor Voices podcast. We really want to be a resource for other vendors who are looking to grow their businesses, and also just be, a voice for them as well. Like, they deserve those photos too, you know. And if you need to, whatever, give them a licensing release, have them sign something, like go through your normal process. But I definitely don't sleep on building relationships. That's
100%.
Really
I mean, look at us.
Yeah.
This was built off of that.
Yeah, it really was.
We were at one point, we were just vendor and vendor.
Yeah,
that was
I
our
never
relationship.
met you before we both got put together on the same wedding.
Yeah.
And then look at us now.
Look at that. So pay attention to your other vendors, people.
Yeah,
There's
a lot of networking opportunities that can come from that too.
Yeah. Another one of the last ones I'll mention is improving my pacing and storytelling and filmmaking. I think a lot of the times, we're right now in a generation that's like, very short form content is like on the rise, and like quick edits. But I really liked being able to, in a wedding film, hold on to that like slower pacing of weddings, or like if it's like a moment or a couple that really wants like a high energy, just knowing like the couple's preference, and like, would they really want like a high energetic, quick like wedding film that's like very like powerful and poppy, or is this like, an elegant bride who really wants to like feel like they're like in the royal palace kind of thing, and like have these like slow cinematic shots. So just like learning the difference and learning the pacing of different wedding films, and like really feeling like, how can I completely change the vibe of this wedding in my editing style, and making sure that editing style matches the wedding, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So do you send out like some kind of like form or questionnaire or something to your couples, or you obviously are talking to your couples before the day of the wedding, so you're getting an idea of what they're looking for, whether it be something more vlog style or something more cinematic. You're able to kind of then adapt your filming style to make sure that you're getting everything that you would need to.
Yeah, it's not so
produce.
much of a form. It's more of like I like to more like humanize the process.
Yeah.
So it's more of a question that we just go through on a call.
Yeah.
And so I just learned more about the couples. One of my first things I do with couples is like we do like a touch base call. I learn a bit about their love story and like kind of like how they met and like what kind of like culminated like I go through like, oh, how was the proposal if I didn't like shoot the proposal.
Yeah.
And like learn more about them. And then I also like to learn like how they envision their film. Like, is this upbeat? Are you like an energetic couple?
Yeah.
Is there going to be like crowd surfing at your reception or something like that? Like how do you envision your wedding? And then some people are like, no, I want this to be super elegant. Like, and I kind of learned that on the call. Maybe someday it'll be a form, but I think right now I really like kind of working that into like my getting to know sections.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. No, I love that. That's important. I think it's really good to be able to talk with our couples and like get an idea of what their vision is.
Yeah.
And obviously, like we talked about this in the last episode, but still having like that creative freedom to like work with them and, create something that is really, really special. But it's always good to know like what they're going for as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. This has been really good.
This has been great.
Some really good lessons. I feel like there's so many more. We'll have to do a part 2 to this one for sure.
Yeah.
And a part 3 and a part 4 and a part 5 because in reality, we're always continuing to learn. That's part of being a professional in this industry is, we're always constantly developing and pouring into ourselves and making sure that we're the best that we can be for our couples. And that's one thing I love working about. Love about working with you.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase.
Yeah.
That's one thing I really love about working with you is because I know that you're always constantly pouring into yourself and like learning more and like, personal development, professional development, growth, like all those things. And so we've learned so much over the last couple of years and it's really exciting to be able to like pull this together like this. Like we're like, wow, there's a lot that I didn't know.
Totally.
That now I know that I feel like makes me so much better of a photographer and better business owner and just overall be able to be giving a better experience to my couple. So
totally. Yeah. We're staying on a lot of knowledge that we've gained over the last few years,
Yeah.
Anyway, Sammi, where can they find you and ask you personally about your wedding experience?
Yeah, for sure. So you can find me at Captured by Sammi and that's on all platforms, including TikTok actually. Since TikTok just came back. Yeah.
It's back.
It's back. That was quick.
Yeah, that was quick. That just
everybody
times
was
when we
freaking
recorded
out.
this.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Everybody was freaking out about that.
Yeah.
But anyways, you can find me at Captured by Sammi and Korrigan. How about you?
Yeah, you can find my personal Instagram at korrigan.mp4 and also follow at the vendor voices. Again, make sure that you register for that giveaway in our Instagram.
Yes.
If you haven't
Only
done
a
already,
little bit of time left. So
it is running out. We are calling, we are announcing the winner on Valentine's Day. Actually,
Yes.
It was such a great timing.
Yeah.
So make sure that you get in your submissions before Valentine's Day and you could win a free video and photo package.
Yeah, valued at over $10,000. So don't miss
Definitely
out.
get in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you guys next Sunday.
Yep. Happy planning. Bye.